animator Alex Morgan. Welcome to TCC Snap. How are you?
Thanks for having me. Yeah, I'm doing well, thank you. Keeping cool.
Excellent. Excellent. We are surviving this second heat wave of the year, which is
Hmm.
ridiculous, isn't it? But we're here, and we're here for the next half an hour or so. Going to talk about um, your business, what you love, what you potentially don't like, and everything in between. But let's start where we always start, the Alex Morgan origin story. Where
Hmm.
did it start for you in terms of animation, storytelling? Yeah, where did it start for you?
Yeah, well, I'll see how far back we can go with this,
Okay.
and maybe not get too deep into it. Had an older brother who was very musical. I think I almost got into visual art kind of by default from a very creative family.
Okay.
But growing up, absolutely obsessed with Disney and all kinds of other cartoons. Obviously, watched a lot of stuff like that as a kid. Got really into video games at a young age as well. And I think the first thing I actually remember trying to animate was a character from Tekken, trying to sort of just do a kick, like a martial arts kick, and
Which which
really
which
struggling.
character?
It was Jin. So it had, I
Yes.
think, was it?
Okay.
Because he had the fire leg, the trousers with the fire going up them, which at the time I thought was the coolest
Yeah,
possible thing.
he's loved it.
Um, and I did it on paper. I had no idea about cell animation or anything like this, and I did a full drawing, and then I moved on to the next one, and then I did a full drawing, and I was like, well, this doesn't make
No.
any sense. Why is this happening? And then at some point, I moved on to grab the family camera, did some stop motion with micro machines and stuff like that. So I was always really into that. Fast forward, I guess, college time, did art at school, really loved it, did art GCSE A level, to the detriment of all of my like academic subjects. Went to did art foundation at college, and kind of realized that animation was a thing that I was absolutely obsessed with making, not just watching. So I watching a lot of movies and playing a lot of games and stuff, and really, whether I realized it or not, analyzing all of these things. So when it came to college, and the whole point of foundation is to test everything. So I did a bit of illustration, photography, communications design, which is kind of graphic design, and then sort of thought, oh, I can do animation now. Bit more confident, bit more time, better with computers as well. So when I went to university, I did illustration and animation, which is kind of an illustration degree with a little bit of animation sort of tacked on. I say that I went to uni and did animation, but I'm mostly self-taught, I would say.
Okay.
Like I learned a few sort of fundamental bits, but it was essentially an illustration degree with a few animation modules tacked on. So I've got a lot of creative inspiration and teaching out of it, but the technical side I kind of had to learn myself.
Mm.
I was very lucky to come up during a time when YouTube tutorials were really starting to kick off. So there's not as much as there is now, but at the time, I had sort of just access to so many different things. Started kind of with VFX stuff. I was really interested in that. Um, and then I guess that's probably stop there in terms of origin story, right? Because then that's I was moving into like trying to find an actual career after that.
Yeah, well, that's perfect. Yeah, there's a couple of things there that I'm going to pick up on later
Mm,
on in the chat. Um, yeah, because it was interesting. But for now, so yeah, so you in terms of where you are now, how
mm,
long has the business been going? And also, if you want to come on to something we were just chatting about just before we were rolling,
mm.
getting still in animation, but a part-time job as well, and how that's going.
Yeah.
And so yeah, just bring us up to speed.
Yeah, so I did briefly attempt freelancing after uni. Did like one or two projects, didn't really know what I was doing, just did some work, got paid for it. That was amazing, but didn't follow up with them at all, didn't really know how to market myself. And this was before things like Instagram, so like proper social media and I'm sure LinkedIn existed, but I didn't use it. So I did attempt freelancing very quickly, sort of trying to work for myself and finding clients. Then moved into like finding jobs in mostly graphic design, Those are a bit more accessible than sort of proper, what I would call proper animation jobs, as in working in a studio out of like a TV or film animation. Like so TV production is quite it's very, very competitive. And I wasn't necessarily that interested in working in kids' TV. I was really keen on feature animation. So I did another course as well. So I learned how to do like supposedly feature level character animation, which was really good. But then finding a job in that field was very, very difficult, and I didn't plan on moving to California at any point to meet any of these people face to face. Um, and then yeah, carried on doing graphic design for a bit. In 2016, I sort of hit a point where I realized that I wasn't going to just luck into any of these jobs. And I was living in Cambridge, and Cambridge is not a particularly uh, creative city overall, or it doesn't have that. So there's loads and loads of creative people there, but it doesn't have that kind of infrastructure. So I started my own business freelance, and that was when motion design was starting to become a thing as well. I call myself a freelance animator still, but motion design was sort of just starting to pick up speed. So that was about 10 years ago.
Yeah.
And yeah, to your point about part-time, so recently I got very lucky with the timing of it because I was in a quiet period. I found a job that was part-time motion design and graphic design, um, fully remote, but it's a UK, relatively small UK company that is part of a massive international conglomerate, I guess. Um, the work itself is I get a lot of creative freedom.
Okay.
I'm also doing a lot of like things like forms, forms and product sheets and stuff like that, which in the interview they were very apologetic. They were like, "Are you okay doing like bare bones stuff?" I was like, "Yeah, like I've no ego about this thing. Like
Yeah.
if it's a
You're gonna pay
creative
me.
job, if it's a creative job, I will do it." So I do that now 2 days a week until December. So that has le like really helped in terms of me kind of focusing my freelance stuff. And I've had a bit of time. I've taken a bit of time to do a bit more personal art stuff on the side. So I'm painting more
Yeah.
and stuff like that. So I would say freelancing generally has gone very well over the last 10 years. It's given me a lot of freedom. It's getting harder, I think.
Okay.
I think more competitive. Video emotion in general, it's a lot more accessible than it used to be for, especially for sort of basic stuff. Um, Everybody's struggling with budgets. I've traditionally worked mostly with UK companies. I know people that work with US companies, I think, are doing a bit better. Budgets are generally a lot higher. Um, so now I'm at a point where I'm just sort of thinking, like, what do I do? How do I best spend my time rather than scrambling for everything, which is I've had years where it's just been taking on whatever comes in.
Mhm.
Now I'm a bit more focused, which is quite nice. So you caught me at a good time doing this.
Absolutely. Yeah. So again, more questions. You're saying things, and I've got
Mhm.
questions bubbling
Sorry, info
away,
dump at you. Yeah,
which is
yeah.
good. No, that's a lot better than you coming to the end of a sentence and me thinking, I honestly don't know what I'm going to say next. So this is good. This is good. Um, so you mentioned budgets.
Mm,
Without putting like numbers to it, maybe put a percentage to it. What are you seeing? And you also mentioned it's harder now being a freelancer, and you're in a great position, like having a decade.
mm,
Percentage wise, or whatever the easiest way to sort of explain it is, are you putting your rates in that you have been, and people are saying we just don't have that, or are they giving you budgets up front that you think, oh, that's good 10-20% below that what it was? Like how
mm.
does what does the sort of landscape look like in terms of pricing?
I don't know if it's a bit of a cop-out answer, but it's probably a bit of both.
Yeah.
I will say personally, I don't really even know what happens with other people, but personally, I I don't generally get messages where people say, "Oh, your rate is too high."
Mm,
I think for my experience, skill level, hopefully conduct and professionalism that people can kind of tell up front. When I tell them my rate, I don't think people aren't surprised. I think that used to happen a lot more
okay.
because I think people used to think it was cheaper, which is kind of odd. But I've been putting my rates up sort of semi-consistently over the last 10 years. I would say yes, budgets are tighter. And these things come and go in cycles. For a one-off project, someone might have put something aside for it and thought this is a really important piece. This is going to go everywhere. We're going to cut it up into social bits. That's what that goes into the planning. Um, Things take a lot more. I think they take a lot more time and maybe a bit of persuasion to get across the line than they used to. Um, there is also a lot more, like we see so much video content, right? There's
Mm.
so much out there and everybody wants to do it. Everybody's posting stuff on social media. So it's kind of this, I guess, double-edged sword where if you can be in the right spot at the right time, speak to the right client, you can get consistent work, like decent pay, if you can negotiate and wrangle it. But at the same time, like constantly everybody being able to do just that little bit extra, which is great. I'm all for democratization of art and skills. There's loads of people that call themselves non-creative when they really are. There's a lot more animation that I see, a lot more people sort of learning animation, motion design, and they're learning from world-class animators.
Yeah.
So you have entire YouTube channels from like full, like I would say AAA animators and motion designers with a wealth of experience, and they're like giving away all their secrets. Maybe not for free, but they are
Yeah.
sharing these
Yeah.
things. Um, and also there is a lot of business support as well. So in that sense, it's also more competitive. And when people are starting out, they might not have the confidence or the sensibility to charge quite so much.
Mm.
So
Mm.
it's uh, I don't know if I've ever actively been undercut or ever undercut anyone myself, but it must happen. Because if you're looking at two portfolios, two CVs or whatever, and two rates, and one is significantly less than the other
Mm.
for or close enough
Yeah.
work, like um, so that I think that's what I found in the last couple of years. A lot of the work that I feel like I've done, not a lot, some of the work has been close enough to what the client sort of their attitude towards it is like it doesn't have to be perfect. We don't have the budget for it, and that's great. Um, when a project, especially you occasionally work with like a big client or a US client, they will throw money at it to make it the best it can be.
Mm.
You
Mm.
can't expect those to come in every single time. So it's kind of yeah. I don't know if that answered the question, but
No, no, absolutely
yeah.
does. Yeah, yeah. It's funny. Exactly the same thing has happened in the videography and photography as well,
Mm,
right? Which in some ways is unbelievable. Like people coming in, you know, if a young person says, "Do I need to go to uni to do photography?" Well, the first thing
mm,
is no, um, because you can. If well, there's a lot that the simple answer is no, but there's lots of things that go
yeah.
into it, so it's not a simple no. But what you can get an unbelievable amount of information and knowledge and wisdom and expertise just
Mm,
from actually studying YouTube. Like really, if you are really concentrating and focused in
mm,
and deliberate about it. It's unbelievable how much skill you could get in a short amount of time.
yes.
Um, and yeah, years gone by, it would have taken maybe work experience or going to uni
Mhm,
or all those things. Yeah, interesting. So, in terms of you mentioned this is quite near the beginning. You mentioned you were obsessed with animation. Which I love. Um, and we'll come back to part-time job in a minute. But you did
mhm,
mention that you're obsessed with animation. Now, doing animation and doing what you do for X amount of hours per
mm.
day, maybe 5, 6, 7 days a week, whatever it is. Are you still obsessed, or do you kind of just park it as your job and you may love it? Um,
Mm.
have you got that obsession still? And if you have, how on earth did you keep it after all these years? Because turning a hobby and a passion into a business is difficult.
Oh, that's a really good question because they are I try and think of them as distinct things, and I don't know how helpful that is. It's very easy um, to see the work that other people do, people that I consider my peers. do incredible work and they're working in big teams sometimes they're solo, and it's the amount of talent out there is wild. That is one surefire way to burn out and lose that spark, right? Compare yourself constantly to other
Okay.
people.
Yeah.
So I do my absolute best to not do that now. I think I'm sort of grown enough to really sort of force myself not to consider that anymore. The way I think I do that now is just I try my best to actually appreciate the art form. Like I don't compare the work that I do as a motion designer, which I mean, a motion designer, the term has changed in the last 10 years, but for all intents and purposes, it's a commercial animator. Like if you really need to like boil down what a motion designer is, it's a cross between a graphic designer, illustrator. Like it's a someone can do a lot of things. Um, I don't compare myself to like Disney animators or Pixar animators or anything like that. Like there's so many different specialisms within animation. Um, and I like 3D animation. I think like a lot of the stuff that I've seen has been absolutely incredible, and I'm really into, especially now, I'm really into like low poly PS1 style aesthetic.
Okay.
And there's loads of that on YouTube, and there's loads to compare myself to. But um, I can't stand things like rendering, and all of the extra things that come with being an animator, like it's a lot of the technical jargon. A lot of the time I'm just sort of like, I don't want to be doing that.
Mm.
So I can't possibly um, compare myself to other people that that's their main thing that they do. Like people make these beautiful like still life. It's like with if you were a painter and you did abstract stuff like I do, I don't look at still life artists and go, oh, why aren't I doing that? It's because
Okay.
I don't want to. Like I would have
Mm.
done it if I wanted to. So just to go back to your actual question, I have kept that interest going by kind of trying to separate up what I do and what I do as a job.
Mm.
Still very creative, still put a lot of energy and effort into it, but I don't compare it to the things that I like. Like I have my skill set and my taste. This some I don't know where I got it from, but I read this something about the one of the hardest parts of being an artist or creative is the discrepancy between your skill set and your taste. My taste far outscales my actual skill set. So I uh, adore like the work that I've seen, and I appreciate it on a creative and a technical level. But I don't panic about not being able to make that myself anymore, which I used to do. So I think that's how I've kind of tried to strip a little bit of like ego out of it, I guess.
Mm. I love that quote, by the way.
Easier said than done.
I love that quote as well. That's excellent. Yeah. Because yeah, if you go out, if you're trying to emulate the world class work, that's
Mm,
potentially, yeah, like down the line, maybe you could reach that. But yeah, comparison is a thief of joy, isn't it?
yeah.
Um, so the so personal projects then, like the
Mm.
obviously you mentioned your art, which is commercial, you sell that. But did that start as like a side project that you wanted to do just for yourself, and then it turned into a commercial thing? And was it important to have another creative outlet outside of the animation?
Yes, yeah, definitely. That exactly that. It started. I was lucky enough to get an iPad. I used to paint and draw and stuff on Photoshop,
Okay.
and just do little personal projects here and there just to sort of keep me going. Especially when I was working in like customer service, I had to do something and like build my portfolio and stuff. But when I started my company, yeah, I needed something that was, and I started doing quite a lot of character animation and I'm better at it now, but like character animation in After Effects, which is what I use, that it's not built for it, and there was always a lot of faff. Now I can do a bit more hand-drawn stuff when clients let me get away with it, which is nice. Which is to say that a lot of the technical parts of being an animator can sometimes get in the way of the creative.
Okay.
So and I'm sure you get it with video as well, right? Things like codecs and the I don't know, physical camera stuff that you have to tinker with
Mm.
constantly. That's not necessarily the creative bit. Um, so what I started doing was kind of just abstract, blocky digital paintings. and that became a bit of an outlet for a few years, and just literally process driven. Just, oh, I'm going to start doing this. It's going to have a painterly texture, but it's going to be on a grid. It's going to be pixel art kind of. It's going to be based on video games, which I like, and all that kind of stuff. That slowly grew, and then in 2020, about COVID, around COVID, like I kind of picked it up as an extra hobby that took over instead of going outside and doing other things.
Okay.
And I had an iPad at that point and Procreate, which the barrier, like just reducing the barriers to creativity, so I could sit on the sofa and just create and not panic about how I was going to put it on Instagram, like
Mm,
whether it had the right settings and all this sort of stuff. And then slowly over time, kind of built this portfolio, and now I'm at a point where I have something that I think I can sell, and I have sold some. I've been very lucky to create a print shop last year, so I have this big digital portfolio that I'm sort of slowly uploading and trying to sell on the shop. But I've also started painting properly on canvas with gouache and stuff like that. One of which is exhibiting today, or it started yesterday in Norwich, which is quite nice.
nice.
So that's like my first, I would say, physical paint. I've exhibited before. I should go back and say, so last year I was like, I want to do one exhibition a month. This is my it's still personal projects and it's still kind of a hobby, but I'm just pushing to be more seen as a professional
Okay.
by certain people and be invited to things. So I got really lucky with who I know. So last year I pushed for an exhibition a month and I managed 14. Um, these were all exhibitions, I think, as far as I'm aware, all but two of them were outside of the UK. Some of them I went to, some of them were part of group shows. Um, but without fail, every single one was me sending a JPEG and
Wow.
being part of the show, a
Yeah.
part of a digital art show. Zero sales, very little follow-up from anyone who might be a collector.
Okay.
Um, so it's nice to be able to say that, like literally New York, Paris, Tokyo, like those play. I can say that I've exhibited artwork in those places, but I got nothing out of it apart from
Yeah.
just that like joy, which is still worth it. So this year I'm really focusing on. I'm doing more physical artwork that I can show people without a screen. I'm volunteering at a local art gallery for sitting in for exhibitions and helping with the website and all that sort of stuff wherever I can. I've joined a separate local art society. So I'm doing all of these things to actually, part of it's getting away from a screen, part of it is getting into just speaking to people who love art. And part of it is getting my name out there kind of again. I've got like a really good group of people that I speak to sort of semi-regularly online. And I'm part of like an international artist collective. But I did realize that if I actually ever want to sell anything, like I do need to engage with people who are collecting and also figure out who those people are. Because somebody said to me, was it Jason? I think it was Jason said to me like, oh, Jason and Andrew I spoke to about the print shop. They're really helpful. Um, and I just don't know who my customers are. I've made so much work for myself that
Mm,
now, and I started a print shop and I was really lucky to get some sales, but um, when you go to an art show and you go to a trade show, so many people are like they make very, very specific things for years at a time, and they get known for doing that thing, and then they become popular and they sell. And I kind of skipped a step. I just made a bunch of art that I really wanted to make. I was lucky enough to have the time to do that. And now trying to sell it is the I'm kind of learning as I go.
I tell you
Yeah,
what would
but
be
it's a good outlet.
fascinating though, is and it sounds like you're doing everything right, which is awesome. And I've got no doubt that you will get to where you want to because you're doing X, Y, you're doing
Mm,
everything you need to. And you do that consistently for long enough, doors open, don't they?
mm. Hopefully, yeah.
But what will be fascinating is if you get your artwork to a stage where it becomes its own fully fledged business, well, then would you
Mm.
need something else creatively? I go backwards to the hobby because
Yeah.
seemingly you're sort of building the commercial side of it, but it started totally you, iPad, Procreate.
Mm.
So it'll be interesting to see what that process looks like.
Yeah. Almost certainly there would be something that would just happen. It's an odd one. I feel like I've throughout my entire creative career, and this is going back to school as well, I have been most productive when I've been procrastinating something else. It's usually
Interesting.
avoiding something that I don't want to do. Not what I don't want to be making art, but what I mean is that if I have two things that I want to be doing, if I have two things that I have to do, I will pick the one that I want to do most of the time.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, and I kind of learned that through school doing art classes. I don't know what it would be. I mean, I've got a lot of people I know doing pottery.
Okay.
Pottery is massive now. Motion designers specifically. There's loads of people doing pottery, which I love because it's really nice to see. And weirdly, you just see everybody suddenly has biceps out of nowhere, which is quite funny. That's just a pottery thing. I think
Pottery
that's just what you
arms.
do. Yeah. But I mean, loads of people do music as well. I've got a ukulele, which I started learning. What else have I done? You always you must have this as well. You have like little bits that come along and you don't necessarily do that much of it.
Mm.
Things like life drawing as well, I would
Okay.
probably try and commit a bit more time to something like that. Um, a lot of my artwork, and this kind of applies to motion design as well. I think character animation traditionally is quite expensive, unless you do something very, very super minimal. So a lot of motion design, like a lot of things trend towards the abstract and the non-figurative, especially when you're talking about sort of high level concepts. So my ability to draw people, I think, as my other skills have gone up, my ability to depict people in a way that I'm happy with is probably reduced.
Mm. Okay.
So I think if I was able to support myself with abstract artwork, um, I would maybe just my brain would go, no, too far. Let's go back to people. Let's just bounce the other way completely. But that yeah, that's something I would like to do is more life drawing as well.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it'll be interesting to see where you go with that.
Mm,
Yeah.
we'll see. It'll take a while.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. But that's part of the fun. No, that's part of the fun.
Yes.
So quite a well-worn question, but
Mm,
I think it's going to be worth asking because like during this chat, you've been incredibly well honest but candid and kind of introspective and reflective. All these words.
mm,
So I'd be really interested to know what you give the answer to this. But in terms of your business, and you can term this however you want to, fast forward 5, 10 years, what does success look like?
mm. Um, I guess two answers, if I
Yeah.
can, if I
Yeah.
may. One from a let's call it a professional level. Um, and yeah, I'm going to be candid with this. Success would be, I don't know, this is counts as three answers. Sorry, I can't remember mine up. So continuing to freelance. No, no, hang on. Let's
We're up to
making a
four now.
decision would success would be making a decision. Um, I'll give you two. So professionally, um, con ideally, this contract that I have at the moment, which I'm actually really enjoying, uh, that continues. They might offer me another part-time contract, maybe something more permanent, different hours, whatever. Like if they at this point in time, if they offered me something, I would take it. I'd be very
Okay.
happy to because they've been really good. Whilst maintaining freelance work. So from a work-life balance success point of view, if I can balance freelance work with what you might call a either a full-time or a part-time employed role and make it make sense financially, that's quite where I'd like to be because in in 5 years, what am I going to be? 43, 44. Um, I need to start considering like whether freelancing is actually and I have been thinking about whether it's actually fully maintainable, like I could do it for the rest of my life, but where the industry is going,
Yeah.
obviously things like AI are having a big impact. Do I actually want the security of um, a full-time position? I don't know.
Mm.
Those are the so it's a very good question, and I that's my vague professional answer. Um, Personally, finally moving house because we're going through that process at the moment and finding the house that we actually really want, and having an art studio. and being able to spend at the very least, I want to be able to commit a day per week to making my own artwork specifically, um, because I have dipped in and out of so many different things, including things like early game development and illustration and children's books and things like this. None of them have caught me in the same way as literally just painting something. And I appreciate that there will be times where I won't want to do that and I will procrastinate and try and do something else.
And do the
But
other thing.
that's it as far as success goes. Like if in 5 years' time I have a well lit, I don't know, it could be a sunroom, it could be a conservatory, it could be anything, depends on the house that we find. But if I have somewhere that I can call my art studio, um, separate from an office, that would be nice. Because currently I'm doing everything in the same room,
Yeah. Yeah.
um, which is fine. But yeah, and maybe exhibiting and selling some more work. But I that was never really why I got into it. So I don't really consider the financial success in the same way. It would be nice, but if I've got a job, like if I've got a job and I'm making money, the art doesn't need to do the heavy lifting there. So
Mm.
yeah.
I love in my mind's eye. I love the mental picture of you in your
Mm.
new house, say in 5 years' time, painting away, thinking, this is
Yeah.
success. I love that. Love that.
Well, it
Okay.
had to be that. I already married my best friend. We already live together. Like I don't have any like personal milestones, so I can afford to be a little bit selfish with like, no,
No, it's
I
not
just want to paint.
selfish.
I just
Not
want to do my
selfish.
painting.
Yeah, I just want to paint. Yeah, it's not selfish in the slightest. Good. Well, Alex, I've had a really awesome chat. Thank you for spending your Wednesday afternoon with me.
Yeah.
And yeah, we'll wrap up there. Thank you.